Hello to the next episode of Venture Cafe. We have now Itai here, if I pronounced it correctly, and Heather from Basis Technology. So today is a big data event here, and you had a table here showcasing your company. That was the purpose of it?
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, we came here basically to meet people who are working with large volumes of text, especially in various languages.
Okay, and what was your experience here? I mean, I know that it was your first time here for the Venture Cafe, and you just ran a table. So what was your impression of the people that you met here?
I mean, it's been a pretty broad range of people, from patent attorneys to people starting companies in the big data space to people at the in the big data group at IBM. So it's been a broad range in my experience.
Who
what
have
about
you
you,
talked to,
Itai?
Itai, that kind of stood out for you today?
Likewise, from immigration law to I met a very interesting person who wants to start a company for pairing up people who want solar panels with the people who provide solar panels.
Oh.
So really, this place is so varied, and you get to meet so many interesting ideas and people, and that's really cool. And I also, I think our offering here is really, I try to really distill it to the most basic thing. We do big text. You're a startup. We give our stuff for free. You can take it. What's in it for us? We get more customer exposure. We get more people to play with our stuff, to tell us what's wrong and what's great in it.
And we also get an understanding of the different types of processing that people want to do. Understand more.
So what's Basis'
cases.
interest in the startup community?
Well, we have a lot of experience selling to large global corporations, so all the big internet giants, but we don't have experience working with early stage companies, so that's why we came to the CIC and came to Venture Cafe, just to get exposure to more early stage companies.
And Heather, what's your background, marketing, or where your data?
My background is in engineering, but I'm working in a business development role for Basis currently, so I've actually worked on various of our product offerings, from the name technology to kind of the lower level linguistics as well. I've been with the company for 8 years now.
Wow. So what started the interest? For me, data, big data, the stuff that we're talking about here is initially sounds rather dull to me, and sometimes a little over my head, honestly. But what was so attractive about that field?
Well, for
to both of you, the question.
Yeah, for me, my academic background is in both computer science and language. So I studied literature, Spanish literature as well in college.
Okay, that's a huge jump. So literature, I can imagine how somebody gets excited. But how did you get excited about literature? Was it you were a bookworm early on?
Yeah, I've always loved language, and I love reading. I love reading in the various languages that are under my belt, and I wanted to find a way to combine the language with my technical background. So doing something kind of along the lines of linguistic software seemed like a good way to meld the two. So that's kind of how I came to it.
And Itai, I understand you have a huge passion actually for data.
Well, yeah, natural language processing, and especially, textual data. Like Heather, I grew up in a different part of the world, but I have had the same passion. I was looking to somehow, I had no idea how to do it, but I knew I was going to do something that has to do with languages and software development. So, I started, back in the early 80s, writing stuff in AppleSoft Basic and whatever. And ever since, I was looking for the opportunity.
You've been writing software since the 80s?
Really, yeah.
You have?
I was 5 years old, and I got my first Apple computer, and I did spend a whole lot less time playing soccer than the rest of my friends. But on the other hand, I did enjoy, writing programs. There were maybe 20 lines of code long, but
how do you get excited about writing programs? It's the best, very different times back then.
Yeah.
But today, I think most people get introduced to computers for video gaming.
Right.
But it wasn't like that.
Yeah, they weren't very exciting back in '84.
Yeah.
It was, basically
Pong.
what?
Pong.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so true.
Yeah. And then, adventures and quests, and you were walking through a haunted house or whatever, and writing
Oregon
textual
Trail.
commands and stuff like that. So that's how it started. And then, yeah, exactly. And then we went, I went over to college, and I studied linguistics and computer science, much like Heather did. And then I worked for a small competitor of Basis, and I always looked at Basis as this big mature company that does everything right. Like everything we do, we just hack it together, but Basis does it the right way. And eventually I ended up being here and meeting all these fun people in the CIC. So that's really my story in 20 seconds.
Wow, that's impressive. But back to this thing, what Basis now does to reach out to
Yeah.
startup companies, early stage companies, pre-revenue companies. Does Basis have a specific program for them? You mentioned earlier that you have services for them for free.
Yeah, so basically we offer broad access to our entire product suite for free to companies that are based here in the CIC or are affiliated with Techstars or Mass Challenge.
Oh wow!
So
That's
it's
impressive.
a way to make the software
So
accessible.
what
to
would be
people
very
just
interesting
getting-
for a startup? Who are you looking for? What kind of startup are you looking for?
Basically, anybody who has large volumes of text, especially if that text is in more than one language, and they need to search that text and maybe extract things, key facts, extract people, organizations, relationships, meaningful information
and it's
from
restricted
unstructured
only
data.
for people here in the local Boston,
So
Cambridge vicinity?
we work with startups actually all over the world. I just got back to Itai is actually originally from our Tel Aviv office, and we just got back from a trip to Tel Aviv to kind of outreach to early stage companies there. But those are the kind of the accelerator programs accelerators or incubators that we're focused on here in Boston. And we do work with smaller companies, but kind of that special package of free is available to these particular programs.
And also support is free.
Yeah.
Support
So
group.
yeah. So as engineers, we actually are happy to get all these support requests, right?
Right.
I don't care that people are using the software for free if I don't get any feedback about it.
Right.
That's the value for us in a way, right? So
So say somebody's listening and he wants to learn or she wants to learn more about what Basis has to offer with this pursuing. Where can they find more information for that?
Well, you can check out our website, which is basistech.com, or you can either email one of us. I'm at heather@basistech.com.
you can look me up on LinkedIn. My name is unique enough, so that's easy to
How do you
find.
spell your name?
Itai, Itai, Rolnick, Rolnick.
Okay.
So yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being on the Venture Cafe podcast. I hope you found a lot of new connections here today, and enjoy the rest of the evening.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Thanks a lot.